This is KCBS LA. Michael Tuck, Bree Walker, Steve Rambo, and Jim Hill bring you Action News at 11.
A spring storm roars into town, leaving a trail of destruction. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tricia Toyota, and Bree Walker has the night off.
And I'm Michael Tuck. You know, the most spectacular damage happened at the Cal Poly campus in Pomona. Now, take a look at this. It was here just before sunset tonight when twister-like winds tore giant trees right out of the ground. This wicked weather is highly unusual for what should have been a gentle spring rain.
Yep, our Joe Avalar has the very latest now in this live report from Pomona. Joe.
Mike, Trish, you talked about giant trees. I'm standing next to one of them. This is a 50-foot sycamore. As you can see, it was uprooted. This is one of 8 50-foot sycamores along this road that were toppled over by high winds. A metal streetlight lies broken on the ground, snapped at its base. Where the trees are still standing, limbs have been stripped away. Elsewhere, giant roots that once held trees solidly in the ground are exposed to the air. Workers try to remove the wreckage. At a preschool, 2 teachers stand in awe. They were in a classroom with a dozen children when the winds whipped up.
What scared us is that we saw this big play structure, like a little tyke play structure, fly across the yard. And then we knew that something big happened.
It blew this jungle gym 150 feet.
The children played right through it. They looked out the window, saw the wind, and played right through it. So
you were more worried than the kids, I guess.
Absolutely.
No one was hurt, not even the animals. There are only stories to tell. The National Weather Service believes a downdraft caused all this. That's when there's very cold air at the upper atmosphere, warm air below. First, there's an updraft of air. That leads to clouds and rain. When the rain evaporates on the ground, sometimes there's a sudden downdraft of air or burst of wind. That knocked over all these trees.
We saw a large volume of debris just flying around like somebody had thrown up confetti.
I'm standing inside, or kneeling, I should say, inside the hole that tree made. You can see it was quite a sizable hole, and the Weather Service is telling me that they think there's a good possibility for more weather conditions like this tomorrow. So be prepared. Back to you.
Awful lot of people were convinced, Joe, that that was a twister. Obviously it was not, but the effects were about the same.
The effects are about the same. Actually, the effects aren't quite as devastating with this kind of wind as with the twister. We really would have known if a twister had been through here.
Joe Avalar, thank you for that live report.
All right, Joe. Well, it happens every time it rains here in the Southland. Slick streets make for hundreds of traffic accidents. Only today it was much worse than usual. 9 cars and big rigs tangled in this accident on the 605 in Whittier. The driver of this gray car was killed and 2 others critically injured. CHP says that there were 10 accidents an hour in the LA Valley area. And listen to this, an unbelievable 13 SIG alerts were called. Wow. In the Sierras, a fresh layer of snow is giving kids one last chance to play around. Storms dropped a couple of new inches of snow today in Placer County, and that is good news, of course, because in a couple of days, scientists are going to measure our important snowpack. And that will give us an indication of whether or not we're going to have another drought and possible water restrictions later on when it dries out this summer. Mike?
Who would think you'd be able to make snow angels this time of the season? Well, of course, the big question now is how much more of this weird weather is still ahead of us. Steve Rambo joins us now with the answer to that. Steve?
Well, Mike, I hope not too much more, because you won't have a voice if it lasts much longer. But in terms of what we can expect for tomorrow, we have this upper-level low that's causing all this rain in the northern part of the state right now. We still have to deal with that. Got to get it out of the state before things will clear up. Looks like what it will do, this area of moisture right here will slide southward over the next day, and by tomorrow afternoon, we should see a little frontal system pass through that can create more strong thunderstorms with the same kind of downburst winds that we experienced today. Perhaps not as widespread or damage, but we might have that kind of activity. I'll give you more details on it and a look at the satellite photo in about 10 minutes. Mike? Trish?
Steve.
All right, thank you, Steve. Well, rain or shine, the final farewell to Richard Milhouse Nixon will go on as planned. Preparations for Wednesday's funeral in Yorba Linda are still going on right now. Small army of organizers handling the logistical problems as the Orange County town gets set to host the nation and the rest of the world as well. Mr. Nixon's funeral is putting Yorba Linda on the map, and tonight the small bedroom community is a town transformed. Fred Villanueva is live right now with more for us. Fred.
Well, Tricia, it's a beautiful patriotic setting here in front of the Richard Nixon Library. The doors here have been closed since 6 o'clock tonight, but that hasn't stopped fans from coming by. As the sun went down on the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda tonight, hundreds of well-wishers continued to arrive. They're here paying their respects to a president best known for his role in the Watergate scandal and just now receiving credit for his accomplishments.
Nobody's perfect, but he did a lot more good than bad, I'll tell you, in my opinion.
In high school, I was telling my roommate here that when I learned about President Nixon, we didn't learn all the positive things about him, and it wasn't until his death that I realized that he had done so many wonderful things.
It's been a busy night here. The color guard is nervously preparing for Wednesday's funeral, knowing the world will be watching. Nearby bleachers are being assembled tonight. At least 1,500 guests are expected, among them world dignitaries from countries such as Japan, Russia, and China. People not in attendance will be watching on television. Broadcast media from throughout the world will be here to cover the funeral. No one will be busier the next few days than the florists 2 blocks away from the Nixon Library. They're receiving orders from places they never imagined.
A lot of people just call me from all over the country. Then, of course, we've had some from Japan, the Prime Minister of Japan, and some celebrities that have called in. But I've noticed a lot of just people, just, you and I type people.
Well, the grounds will remain open tomorrow all the way until 11 o'clock on Wednesday. After that, only invited guests will be allowed to attend the funeral, which takes place 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. Tricia?
Well, despite that guest list and the limitations, Fred, there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people, perhaps thousands, who want to even get close. What have they said about traffic?
There'll be a lot of traffic here. I think the best thing to do is to park a ways away and then walk up to the grounds. There will be a lot of patrol officers here to assist the public, though.
It will be jammed, Fred. Thank you for that. Well, tomorrow, the former president's casket will arrive at the El Toro Marine Air Station. Also tomorrow, Whittier College will pay tribute to its most famous alumnus at 12:30. The public can view the closed casket in the lobby of the Nixon Library tomorrow afternoon from 2 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the afternoon the following day. And then on Wednesday, 1,800 invited guests will attend the funeral. Then, during a private ceremony, Mr. Nixon will be buried in the library's rose garden right next to his wife, Pat. If you would like to pay your final respects, here's how to get to the Nixon Library. No matter which direction you're coming from, get to the 91 or the 57 freeways. Now, as you can see here on this map, the 5 crosses both freeways. Both also have Yorba Linda off-ramps. Follow the signs to Eureka Avenue. They'll lead you to the Richard Nixon Library and birthplace. Well, whether you attend the memorial for Mr. Nixon or not, it's going to affect you. President Clinton has declared Wednesday a national day of mourning, and that impacts federal services everywhere. On Wednesday, President Clinton has ordered all federal offices closed. Now, that includes the post office, so there'll be no mail delivery on Wednesday. The stock market will also be closed in honor of former President Richard Nixon.
And Mike, our other big story tonight, a new era in South Africa. Just hours from now, millions will head to the polls in South Africa's first all-race elections. And tonight, people gathered in Washington, D.C. to pray for peace in South Africa. Dozens of Americans and South Africans living in this country gathered at St. Augustine's Church. They lit candles and prayed that the elections will go peacefully and with a minimum of problems. Now, that vigil comes as a wave of terrorist bombings hit South Africa, 3 bombs exploding in the past 2 days. Today, 2 separate attacks killed 12 people. The first attack this morning sent a firestorm of glass and metal into the air. 10 people were killed, 41 wounded. Most of the victims were black commuters. And later on Monday night, a second bomb ripped through a Pretoria tavern, killing 2 people. 30 others were injured.
Allegedly, a blue car with 2 white male occupants pulled up at the front door of the restaurant, flung a bomb into the restaurant and raced off.
White extremists are suspected in all 3 bombings. And today, African National Congress leader Nelson Mandela received a tumultuous welcome when he went to visit bombing victims in a Johannesburg hospital. He told reporters the forces of peace were just too strong for extremist groups to derail this election. In the meantime, South African President F.W. de Klerk also condemned the bombings. He says the bombers have declared war on the rest of the country. This was the very last parliamentary session before the election.
Tricia, South Africans not living in that nation are eligible to vote in this historic election, and Los Angeles is one of 17 American cities where voters will head to the polls. Our Linda Moore went out tonight to get some reaction to the election from South Africans living here in the Southland.
KPFK's 4-year-old radio show called Roots of Rap often discusses South Africa's struggle for freedom, but finally tonight they were talking about a new beginning.
looking back, growing up, we never believed this will ever happen, this will ever come to pass. And the future, the past can never equal the future in this situation now.
And on this eve of the first ever all-race election, South Africa's #1 rap group called the Prophets of the City performed on the LA show, while still images of the group were transmitted from South Africa to KPFK's North Hollywood studio. It is a sure bet that Nelson Mandela will win the election. He is a 75-year-old leader of the National African Congress. For over 40 years, he and his party have been the force of change. But in some ways, it is a bittersweet victory. 14,000 people have died in political violence in these last few years leading up to the elections. And there is fear white extremists will continue terrorist acts over the next 3 days of voting. South Africans who have maintained their citizenship but living abroad will be able to vote too. And the ballots look like this, and there are several locations for voting. The consulate here in LA is one of them.
We've had many years of apartheid. This is the time that I think the majority of the people in my country have been waiting for.
History is being rewritten, and rappers here and in South Africa from now on will likely be writing new tunes too. In North Hollywood, I'm Linda Moore, Channel 2 Action News.
And South Africans who want to vote need to provide proof of South African citizenship.
Mike, here's an unsettling question. What would you do if men in police uniforms came into your home with a search warrant? Well, it happened to this woman and her family. You're going to see them right here. Only problem is that they were not police, and they tore the place apart. The story coming up.
Well, he can croon with the best of them, and tonight Michael Bolton may be singing the legal blues. A jury says one of his biggest songs was a ripoff.
And no ordinary prison food for these inmates. Believe it or not, every meal they eat comes from Denny's. I'll tell you why coming up.
You're watching Action News at 11.
They invade by the thousands, leaving an invisible chemical trail. But ants can be stopped by the exterminator, the Orkin Man. The exterminator wipes out ant armies with the awesome power of his advanced pest control technology. He destroys ants and their colony and makes sure they never return. Guaranteed. The exterminator, the Orkin Man. One call destroys them all.
City of Compton has agreed to pay the families of two Samoan brothers $6 million. Puvi and Italia Tualalele were killed by Compton police officer Alfred Skiles during a domestic dispute in 1991. Their brothers were shot a total of 19 times. Many members of the Samoan community protested, demanded an investigation. Today's out-of-court settlement was reached only days before a civil case was scheduled to go to trial. A criminal case against Officer Skiles involved ended in a mistrial. And LA police tonight are looking for imposters who pretended to be police officers and then robbed a Lincoln Heights home instead. Enrique Lopez says the robbers came to his home and flashed badges. Then they handcuffed the family and ransacked the place. They took a TV, some money, and jewelry and then fled. Police say that there is a simple step that you can take to protect yourself from these imposters.
If you have any doubt whether this person is a valid utility person or police officer, merely call. Police department will definitely verify it.
Well, detectives say that there were two similar break-ins earlier this year, and in all cases, the victims were either elderly or immigrants.
Did an awful lot of damage there. Former LA policeman Lawrence Powell took the witness stand today during phase 2 of Rodney King's lawsuit against the city. Powell once again denied any wrongdoing, even though he's currently serving a prison sentence for his part in the beating of King. He said that night King seemed to have superhuman strength. He said he was concerned that King might be shot unless police were able to restrain him. In this phase of the trial, the jury will decide whether Powell and 14 others should personally have to pay damages to King. Closing arguments are scheduled to begin tomorrow in the trial of Lance Parker. Parker is accused of firing a shotgun at Reginald Denny's truck at the beginning of the LA riots. He's also charged with firing at a woman in a white car and at a Unocal gas station on the corner of Florence and Normandy, the flashpoint of the riots. During the trial, Henry Watson and Damian Williams were both called to testify. Watson says he never saw Parker or heard any shotgun blasts.
Prosecutors in the Michael Jackson child molestation case say that they are not ready to wrap up their investigation, not yet. LA District Attorney Gil Garcetti and prosecutors in Santa Barbara claim that it is still too early to decide whether or not criminal charges should be filed. So far, the 14-year-old boy who alleges Jackson molested him has refused to testify. The pop singer has already settled an out-of-court agreement with the teenager, reportedly worth millions of dollars. And legal problems tonight for another singer, Michael Bolton, who has made a career out of doing remakes of other people's songs. Well, that's Bolton redoing the Otis Redding hit Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, singing at the Hollywood Bowl in '92. Now a federal jury has ruled that he stole that song from the Isley Brothers, the song from 1966 called Love is a Wonderful Thing. Well, that song was not a hit for the Isleys, but it was for Bolton. The jury next must decide what damages to award the Isley Brothers.
I think I understand that.
I do.
We don't know if it qualifies as fine dining, but the daily meals for some Northern California prison inmates have some people wondering what's going on up there. Now, these inmates don't eat regular prison slop. No, sir. Their meals, every one of them, come from Denny's. The reason why? Their prison has no kitchen. The jail took bids, and Denny's came in the cheapest at $3 per meal.
One cold and two hot. They have to have one cold meal and two hot every day.
Now, Jackson County dietitian selects the food, so the inmates don't actually get to pick their own meals. If they did, we doubt if the favorite would be the Grand Slammer.
Oh, that's... Ooh.
That's one of mine, though.
Ooh, bad pun. Bad. Maybe it was Lenny's. Lenny's song, Love is a Wonderful Thing.
You confuse that with a commercial.
I'm right, I am confused. You wouldn't believe what's falling out of the skies over Texas. Look. Straight ahead tonight. Mother Nature gives them hail. Steve Rambo returns with our own forecast.
And later on, could it have been Princess Babs? She says yes, if only. The tales are coming up.
Escape, Calvin Klein. Your gift with any 3850 Escape purchase at the Broadway.
Now, Universal Studios takes you where only we can, into Jurassic Park, to go behind the scenes of the biggest blockbuster of all time, to walk the sets and learn the secrets that brought the dinosaurs back to life in the most amazing exhibit ever. Then take the greatest ride in history and go screaming through time on Back to the Future. Share the magic of the movies at Universal Studios Hollywood. But hurry, because May 30th, the behind the scenes of Jurassic Park exhibit will be extinct. Get a coupon from McDonald's to save $5.
Having trouble making ends meet? Your Allstate agent can help you tie it all together. Because now, when you put both your car and house insurance in our hands, you could save money on both. And if you have an excellent driving record, you might even save more. Just call an Allstate agent. You could save a bundle. You're in good hands with Allstate.
If you're not shopping at Ross,
you're paying too much for name brand and designer clothing.
And who wants to do that?
The Action News weather is sponsored by your Southern California Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Buy or lease a Chrysler Plymouth from a dealer near you.
It's not surprising that people have been trading in cars for the Chrysler Town & Country minivan. What is surprising is which cars. And now, for 1994, the Chrysler Town & Country has a 3.8-liter high-torque engine, dual airbags, and meets all 1998 car safety standards. Let the defections continue.
Buy or lease one at your Southern California Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Kind of weather that car owners hate. Texas-size hail. Watch this, a hailstorm pounding its way through Fort Worth today. Ooh, listen to that. Every time one of those things hits the car, ding, ding, and more dinging. Ooh.
Some of that hail looked like it had Titleist written all over it, didn't it? Some
know
golf
about
ball, some golf ball size hail.
Yeah, you probably hit a few of those yourself.
Off into the bushes. Steve Rambo joining us now with the weather. We've had some weird weather of our own.
It has been interesting here in Southern California. More like mountain winter type weather. It will continue that way again tomorrow. The frontal system that passed on through is not done, actually the low pressure area, and it's more of it left over and more cold air associated with it. So we're talking about more instability and another chance of showers once we get the daytime heating to work with all those fueling systems. Let's go for today and recap what happened, and then we'll talk about what's gonna happen. High today was 58. The low was 53. You can blame that 5-degree temperature range on the clouds and the half-inch of rain that fell at the Civic Center. Almost a record amount of rainfall, missed it by 1/100th of an inch. Our season total is now at 7.5 inches, still half of what would be normal for this time of year. So we're still struggling with rain, even though we have some. More to come. So as you look at the showers, don't worry too much about them unless they're causing you problems, because we need them. There's a low-pressure area right about here. As it spins around in a counterclockwise direction, it's going to create more showers, bring us some cloudy conditions later on tonight, and some very gusty winds. That will last through the rest of the night tonight, with our low tonight down to about 50 degrees. Winds gusting out of the southwest at 25 miles an hour. We had a wind advisory in effect for the deserts. That will continue in effect until later on tonight. About 30 minutes from now, we should take that one out. Let's go to the 5-day outlook and see what's coming up for the next several days for you. Okay, because of the leftover instability from that low pressure area, we're going to call for scattered showers tomorrow, becoming pretty intense during the midday tomorrow. That's what it looks like that frontal system will pass on through. Everything should begin to clear out Wednesday afternoon. That's when the winds will pick up for everyone. Right now, it's just a desert and mountain problem. Then Thursday looks beautiful, partly cloudy, windy. Friday, great. Saturday, fantastic, back up to 73 degrees. And then, well, we'll look at Sunday and Monday later on, but there may be some changes later in the weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
As long as we get people driving sensibly on the freeways, we need this rain.
Take your time, give yourself some distance and some space.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Well, Magic Johnson is about to make yet another exit from the Lakers. How many now? I don't know. Most of his money is on this guy to replace him. Up next, we'll tell you all about this guy.
And a pro football shocker. He wins the Heisman, but when it comes to the NFL draft, he gets the what rhymes with draft. Jim Hill has the story next.
What do you want in a newspaper besides the news?
Is this still hot or not? I'll be there. Can 2 alcoholics live happily ever after?
Do protein supplements really make a difference?
Introducing Life and Style, a colorful news section of the Times, filled with more of the personal news that's important to you, along with all your favorites.
Is there such a thing as a good low-fat pizza?
Life and Style, it's a new view for the 90s.
Good news from Buick. The 1994 California Skylark.
Better news. This one comes with a powerful quad overhead cam engine.
And a long list of power touches and extras, standard on this value-priced Skylark.
Compared to Honda Accord LX, Nissan Altima, or Mazda 626 LX, the Buick Skylark is value-priced right to begin with, under $15,000.
Buick quality and reputation. That's the best news of all.
All over the world, when people are late, you're guaranteed to hear excuses.
The alarm clock broke.
Mein Goldfisch ist gestorben.
Probleme des cheveux?
At UPS, however, we guarantee we'll be on time. In fact, we now guarantee on-time delivery to hundreds of cities around the world, or your money back. So while you might hear, you'll never hear it from us.
Ready to celebrate? I am, because Orchard Supply Hardware is coming to a location nearby with more hardware and garden supplies than anyone.
Over 45,000 items. Pay no sales tax this weekend at Orchard Supply Hardware, Pasadena, Burbank, and Van Nuys.
Eternity, Calvin Klein.
Your gift with any $32 Eternity from Men purchase at Robinson's May.
Patino. Not Patino.
Get to know that name.
Okay.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't
you
think
got
so.
New information on this?
New information. Let me tell you exactly what we know about Mr. Rick Pitino. Could Coach Pitino from Kentucky be roaming the sidelines next year as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, Pitino, who coached in the NBA with the New York Knicks, is the Lakers' first choice to succeed outgoing Magic Johnson. Pitino was in Lexington, Kentucky tonight, meeting with his Wildcat players amidst reports that he may be in Los Angeles next year. However, Kentucky Athletic Director C.N. Newton says that Pitino is going nowhere.
4 seniors who stuck with this program.
I will tell you this, and I've talked with Rick for 2 days. There have been no serious negotiations of any type with the Lakers. Now, he's talked with the Lakers. I don't know who else he's talked with, but all that speculation that's out there is very concerning to me.
Now, tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning, Pitino will be holding a press conference to announce his plans. Major League Baseball action now. The Angels started their 8-game swing through the East by winning 2 out of their first 3 games, but lately they've hit a wall. Coming into tonight's game against those Yankees, the Angels have dropped 3 in a row, and you just knew it was going to be a long night for the Angels in the bottom half of the first inning. Paul O'Neill singles to right field, and the ball goes right under Tim Salmon's glove. Wade Boggs scores while O'Neill goes to third base, and the Yankees are up 2-0 after 1 inning. Now, New York breaks the game wide open in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded. Matt Noakes clears the decks with this grand slam home run over the right center field wall, and the Yankees lead comfortably at 6-0. Next batter, Bernie Williams. He drives the ball over the wall in left field, and Angel right-hander Mark Leiter gives up 7 runs in 5 innings, and the Yankees embarrass the Angels by a score of 11-1. Out at Camden Yards tonight, Cal Ripken was double trouble for the Oakland A's. He smacked a couple of doubles, driving in 3 runs to lead Baltimore past the A's by a score of 8-6. So scores now in the American League tonight: victories for the Royals and for the Twins, and the Milwaukee Brewers and Mariners both get victories. In the National League, the Dodgers took the night off. However, they will be back in action tomorrow night when they take on the Philadelphia Phillies. That game will be out at the Chavez Ravine. But tonight in Florida, Gary Sheffield gives Fish fans something really to cheer about when he turns on that Tom Glavine offering. Sheffield's 6th home run of the year gave the Marlins a 2-0 lead. And little-known David Weathers fooled the Braves and their batters all night long, giving up only 1 run in 7 innings of work, and Florida beat the Braves by a score of 4-3. A very light schedule in the National League tonight. The Reds and Astros get a win, and the Rockies knock off the St. Louis Cardinals. Stanley Cup playoff action. Patrick Waugh proved once again he's the best goaltender in the league. He stopped 60 of 61 Boston shots, and the Montreal Canadiens beat the Boston Bruins 2-1 in overtime. Montreal now leads the series 3-2. A couple of other playoff games for you tonight. The Penguins cut the Capitals lead to 3-2, and the Devils take a 3-2 lead over the Buffalo Sabres. Now, as you might know, tonight is fight night out at the Forum. Super flyweight champion Julio Cesar Balboa put his title on the line against Jorge Luis Roman. Look at Tricia go to work here. Balboa beat battered and bruised Roman for 4 rounds until the fight was finally stopped. Balboa improves his record to 22-4. Now, Charlie Ward and Perry Klein have nothing in common except they both play quarterback, right? Ward was a Heisman Trophy winner for Florida State, while Klein played for tiny C.W. Post. Obviously, the Heisman Trophy doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. Ward became the first Heisman winner in 35 years to be bypassed in the NFL draft. And Klein, well, he was selected 111th by the Atlanta Falcons. But don't give up on Charlie Ward. You see, he still plays college basketball, and there's some thought that he might go in the NBA. And that's a look at sports for tonight, folks.
Interesting that the NFL draft looked like both local teams did very well. The Raiders needed a linebacker. They got a good one. Rams needed everything. They got that.
They got everything that they needed, yeah. We hope so, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like our new digs, we didn't say anything about it yet tonight.
Oh, I love it. You dress so beautifully. Yes. Oh, you talking about these digs? Oh, yeah, this is cool.
These digs.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay.
Well, to her fans, Barbra Streisand is royalty, but according to her, she could have been the real thing.
Up next, why Babs is saying she could have married Prince Charles.
The Shell MasterCard from Chemical Bank is not just an ordinary credit card. It's a liquid asset. Because when you use it to buy the things you need, you earn free Shell gasoline. The more you use it, the more free Shell gasoline you earn. And with no annual fee, there's no reason not to take the plunge. To apply for the Shell MasterCard, call 1-800-FREE-GAS.
The house is this room, brick and mortar. A home is what will take place in this room when we're all finished. What takes place inside of a house really makes it a home, and what takes place inside of one of our stores makes it a special place for the customers. What we are about is service. We're in the yes business. Yes, we accept American Express. The last thing that Home Depot is into is putting limits on customers.
The American Express card is welcomed at the Home Depot and lots of other places close to home.
Dear car owners, stop now for the big break at Midas. Get big savings on expert Midas brake services and quality parts. Drive in for a thorough Midas brake inspection today, and you'll get big brake values like these.
Midas provides expert brake repairs and low prices. In fact, we'll beat any competitor's price for the required service. On exhaust repairs, too. Don't pay more.
That's the Midas way. The way it should be.
From this day on, everyone who travels in this world will have a new way to communicate. Introducing World Phone from MCI. It means the end of complications, currency problems, and outrageous hotel surcharges. It means an operator who speaks your language to connect you with anyone virtually anywhere. It means low rates from overseas. And it means simplicity. All you need to turn any phone in the world into a world phone is your MCI card. World Phone from MCI. Let it take you around the world.
Discover a formula breakthrough from Lancôme Paris, Bienfait Total.
In French, it means total well-being.
By progressively activating key ingredients, Bienfait Total provides total hydration all day through physioconversion. Total radiance renewed all day. Protection assured at SPF 15.
For the total well-being of your skin.
Bienfait Total, premiering at Bullock's. Your bonus with Bienfait Total, a personal cleansing duo, Lancôme Paris.
Guess we can all relate to work getting in the way of fun, but Barbra Streisand says work may have cost her a crown. The superstar's in London right now for the kickoff to her world tour. Today she had a very public meeting with Prince Charles. But this, it turns out, isn't their first encounter. You see, the two met back in 1972. Today, Streisand said she might have become a princess if she'd only been more gracious. But work, she says, was making her grumpy. I've seen that happen to some people. But to me, it looks like she still has a chance. They seem to be saying something to each other without really saying a whole lot at all. A little spark in the air there.
Oh, that was sort of interesting. Isn't he married?
I think that could get in the way. No, I don't think he is now.
We thank you very much for being with us tonight in our new home here at Action News.